Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jimmy Deal.
And Geri Petito Show.
Guys, hey, we are here for the first time together at Hamilton Radio. We've got Doc G with us over here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Who originally started Hamilton Radio. Tell them about that.
Yeah, I started it almost 27 years ago. In a basement and in the living room, and I mean it's grown big right now, and I'm really happy to have hosts like Geri and Jimmy Deal on the show. Family-friendly hosts that are good to talk to, celebrities out there, and friends. Reach out to them.
So, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing fantastic. So nice to be in this beautiful studio today.
It's amazing, right?
Absolutely. I love it. Love it. Doc G, great job here.
Thank you. Well, Ruben, I can't take, Ruben did most of the work.
And Ruben, too. Wonderful job,
Yeah, give
Ruben.
him the credit.
Absolutely.
So, I want to show everyone my beautiful gift from Jimmy.
That was really
Elvis,
nice.
how amazing is this? Tell everyone where you got the photo.
Oh, this actually came from Graceland. I was just there for Elvis Week. I was there for a couple of days. And this is an actual photo when you walk into the ticketing center to get your ticket to go into Graceland on tour. They have this huge picture on the wall of that, that I gave Geri. And I actually took a picture of it. It came out great, so I blew it up and made a little 8x10 for Geri.
Thank you. We're both huge Elvis fans.
Yes,
okay?
we are. Absolutely.
We both have Elvis rooms. I mean, come on, right?
Absolutely.
So listen, from a male perspective, come on, you can be honest. How hot was he?
Elvis was the king of cool. That's all I have to say.
There you go. Listen, I know I'm an idiot, right? But I don't care. Listen, Elvis, baby.
Yep.
So, Doc G.
Yes.
So, what would you like to say about this guy right here?
Oh, God. Jimmy and I, we have a unique show called the Jimmy Deal Celebrity Spotlight Show. And every Monday, when we do the show, or when Jimmy's available, he presents people in such an easy, calm light that the spotlight's on you. It's like it says, the spotlight's on you. And, I get words in every now and then, but he's the celebrity, not me. I'm just the co-host. And I'm the engineer that runs it. But this is the guy that does it all, just like Geri is the one that is the celebrity here, not me. But I'm so proud to be part of that. It's just a big part of I love this. I know my wife listens all the time. We have some regular listeners.
Yeah, it's so much fun. We love doing it.
We have some new people that stop in every now and then, some celebrities and stuff like that. And it's just nice to see the response we get from people that appreciate it, Because, again, Jimmy, when we do show, we don't ask the stupid questions.
Exactly.
We make them feel relaxed and comfortable.
Yes.
And open to a lot of things. And then we talk about what they want to talk
But
about.
I am the one that asks the stupid questions.
No, you don't.
I actually do, and I love it. But continue.
No, but that's the whole premise of the show. We want them to feel comfortable.
Yes.
Right.
And have them portray themselves in the light that they want to be seen as. So when Jimmy asks some questions and I ask some questions, usually Jimmy asks the questions I want to ask, but that's okay. Right. Because we're reading from the same.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
But it's okay because, again, we know each other and we know how to read each other. And sometimes, I'll be honest with you, sometimes the guests we can't read. We think they're going to be a great guest, and they usually are.
They usually are.
But some have a hard time, I guess, saying things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, communicating. And that's an issue, that you, as a professional, you either make the interview shorter or you just try to pull for something else.
Right.
Which is what we do.
Exactly.
And that's why I think they love that so much, because we don't dig deep.
Right.
We dig, but we're not deep. And not into their personal lives, and not into this. It's what
Right.
they want to talk about.
And I try to stay away from negative stuff.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why they love and want to come back. I think that's one of the reasons.
Absolutely.
But I have to comment, okay? So I do ask stupid things, okay? But here's what's
But
funny.
not that bad.
On a serious note, I had a great compliment by Mel Carter. He actually publicly posted, Geri, it was an incredible interview. She made it easy. Well, I'm cracking up laughing. I'm like, are you kidding me? Mel, you made it easy. But Ron Dante, sugar,
Right.
oh, honey.
Yeah.
Right.
I giggled through the entire interview, and to this day, I'll comment, "Hey, my sugar," and he'll go, "LOL, hi, honey." I couldn't help it. So I do act silly when it's appropriate.
Right.
Certain things, But I'm going to ask both of you this.
Go ahead.
All right? I'll start with you, Doc G.
Yep.
Out of all the celebrities that you've gotten to interview, All right, and I'm not gonna. Let's not use the word favorite because we love them all. Okay, but there was someone. There's always someone, right, that will stand out. One or two. Tell us one or two.
It was a short interview, and I think we did it around Christmas time. But the one that I remember the most had to be Engelbert Humperdinck.
Okay.
I mean, his wife just, I think, passed away.
Right.
We interviewed her for a little bit of time. We wanted to interview Tony Bennett as well, but I mean, Engelbert was just incredible. He was just an open guy, very, very down to earth, relaxed, comfortable, even at his age, and very, very mindful of everything that he's done. Even some of the questions we asked him, you know. And I think, to me, that's the most memorable one. But there's been so many, so it's hard to put in perspective.
Right,
just
right.
like you said,
You know?
Mel Carter, this one, and they're all the celebrities.
Yes.
Who do you pick as the best one, or the best
Well,
interview
that's
where
what
you
I'm saying.
feel
Not
comfortable?
the best, but someone that was just so impressionable. So it was Engelbert. for
Engelbert
you.
Humperdinck, yeah.
What about you, Jim?
I liked Frank Stallone. Frank
That
Stallone
was a good one,
great
too.
interview.
Again,
yeah.
yeah.
I had a good time with Frank. It was such a great honor to talk with him, and he was just so cool. So
He talked about his guitars,
he
right?
did.
Frank
Talked
Stallone
about his guitars,
Frank's-
talked about his brother, talked
Yeah.
about the movies. So that was one of my favorites, and of course Engelbert was definitely another one of my favorites. We've had so many great people.
Well, don't forget the
over
women
years.
too. I mean, we had Connie Francis.
We had Connie Francis, yes.
And then so many other ladies. I can't remember them all, but there was so many. Connie Francis is the other one that sticks out in my mind.
Yes. And as far as Elvis people, we've had so many Elvis people on the show. Jerry Schilling was on the show.
Yeah.
And Billy Stanley, who was Elvis' stepbrother, a good friend of mine, was on the show. That was a great interview. Those are some of my favorites.
This
as well.
karate guy, the
We
karate
had,
guy.
oh yeah, Patrick Wren. I went to his studio when I was down in Memphis, and I got to meet him and took pictures with him and stuff. And he's such a wonderful man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I interviewed Frank Stallone, he was waiting for a delivery. So we were on air live.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
For probably 2 hours.
Yep.
And finally, we talked about everything. Finally, I was like, all right, Jared, I heard the doorbell. The guy's here. See you, baby. It was so funny.
Wow.
But all right, I don't want to use the word favorite.
No, I get
because,
it, I
come
get it.
on. They're all incredible. We've been so blessed, right?
Yes, I
mean,
agree.
all incredible.
Absolutely.
I do.
But because I'm such a huge Elvis fan, and I never got to meet him, okay, I have the ticket still in my Elvis room. He died right before that. I am so proud to say I was interviewed by George Klein at Graceland.
Yeah.
You met
Yeah,
him.
absolutely.
I got to interview Elvis's nurse, Marion. She's still in my life. Beautiful woman.
Yes.
And I got to interview Priscilla Presley's son recently. Now,
Wow.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Very cool.
And yes, I interviewed Elvis Aaron Presley Jr. He is absolutely Elvis's biological son. I have the court paper. So for me, and everyone knows that's why I'm mentioning the Elvis stuff, because, every interview we've done, though, has been so incredible, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, we also had Big Elvis. Remember him, Doc?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, he was awesome.
From Las Vegas. He
Yeah.
also claims to be a son of Elvis, but I don't know if he's got the court documents and all that.
No, but I'm
But
saying
he does look
as-
like him, and he's got the voice, though.
Right. As a
You know.
person, he was
he was
easy to
great.
talk to and
Yeah.
just wonderful to be around.
Yes.
All the little
amazing.
yeah.
He is the only, I believe, Elvis tribute artist to have a star on the Las Vegas Walk of Fame,
Wow.
which is pretty awesome.
Oh, right. I knew
Yeah,
that. Yes,
yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So I have another question. Change the name to protect the innocent. All right. So have you ever had any interviews that you were just like, I wish I didn't do this interview?
Yeah, we've had a few, absolutely.
Okay.
We're not
I
gonna
really
name
don't
names.
want to say names
No, no,
because
no. No,
but
but I mean, like-
I've had I've
And
had
like, what were the reasons why, maybe?
usually like what Doc was talking about before, like you throw a question out and they give you like a one-word answer,
Okay.
and the personality is just not there, and they're not animated. I like animated people. I like people who are full of
Yeah,
life
yeah,
and full
yeah.
of fun, and a lot of times when they lack that, it's a little bit difficult to do the interview. So But yeah, we've had a few.
I'm sure you have as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Of
yeah.
course you
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've had a couple.
Yeah.
I've had a couple, and I remember them well.
They're difficult,
Yes.
They're difficult, and what you do is like, you just shorten the interview. I mean, because
Yeah.
if there's only so much you can say, so many questions you can throw out there, and if you just don't get a response that you're looking for, or they're just not into it, I mean, then it's really useless.
And one time, one of these people that I did cut the interview very short actually said, "Oh, that was great. Could we do it again sometime?"
We've got that too.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a country singer on. I think you know who I'm referring to. I don't want to say a name, but we had a country singer on, and we had that situation a while back. It was a female country artist.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have another question. Did you ever think that, I've got to do this interview, I was kind of pressured into it, it's not going to go well, and it went amazing?
Yeah, I mean, that happens as well. You know, a lot of times you think, you know, I don't think this person's going to be great, and then they turn out to be really, really a great interview, you know. So that does happen from time to time.
Well, Andy Kahn was like that from the Turtles because from the stuff that I read and stuff like that, he's a great guy. You know, he's awesome.
Right, yes.
And he even comments on some of the stuff I put out there, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
But it was a super interview.
Yes.
I mean, easy to talk to, talk about anything, talk about his book. Right. And I really, at that point, before I was kind of getting into him, like, I don't know if he's going to talk. And he really just let go.
Yeah, some people just surprise you like that,
Yeah.
which is amazing, you know.
Recently, twice it happened here, and one of them was recent, and I actually told her after the interview, I said, I did not think, I said, you are one of my favorites, I love you. Okay, it was amazing.
Yeah, it happens. That's for sure. You know,
know?
but you always, you know, you aim to get great people, and you always hope for that great interview. And you know, sometimes you just don't know where it's going to go.
That's right.
You know.
So, do you want to come and say hello?
He's got to go leave.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, just say goodbye then. Come on.
This is Ruben.
Say goodbye.
Nice to see you, Ruben. Thank you so much for having me today in your wonderful studio.
Hey, say goodbye to the camera. Come on, I want to tell everybody how great you are. Come on, say goodbye. All right, Ruben, get out. Don't show your face. Ruben's one of our amazing producers here, okay?
Thanks, Ruben.
A little shy.
No, he's got to go make some money.
Yes. Bye, Ruben. Thank you.
Take care, Ruben. Good to see you.
Thanks, Ruben.
Thank you for coming by. Okay.
So, yeah, we have Ruben. Ruben is our incredible younger tech guy. Thank God for him, right, Doc G?
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, I can't praise him enough. I think he's even better than he thinks he is.
Okay.
You know, he really is. I mean, he amazes me sometimes. But go ahead.
No, you take the mic.
Well, Jerry, tell me how you got started in this business.
Okay, and then we'll talk again about a little
Yeah.
bit about you.
Okay.
So in 2016, guys, I wrote my book. I'm not an addict. I'm just an ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
Again, because 32 years ago I was a dumbass, and then 32 years later, through the grace of God, I became a smartass. Yes, the word ass is in the Bible, because I've been called out on that by Christians, and I'm a Christian, at least 40 times, and it means donkey, and that's what I was, guys. So I revised it. It's now pretty huge. It was small in 2016. This guy reaches out to me and says, we want to interview on DJ Danny's show.
Right.
So I was like super excited and super nervous, because even though I've always talked a lot, when you put a mic in front of me, I kind of froze.
Right.
So I was, interviewed, and he asked me to come along, and it took about a month or so. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to do this. But then, Jim, I started thinking, and I shared this with you earlier, every day of my life, every report card of my life, she talks too much. So I was in trouble every day. And I thought, what am I, nuts? I have to do this.
Wow.
So that's how I got started.
Yep.
Then I ended up on several networks, but Hamilton Radio started me, and I'm never leaving Hamilton Radio.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about the very beginning for you.
Well, I was a mobile DJ in Brooklyn at my grade school where I went to school, Holy Family in Canarsie, and I started DJing 8th grade dances, and I enjoyed it so much. I started DJing all over Brooklyn, the Knights of Columbus, the American Legion, all types of organizations, and I enjoyed it so much and enjoyed talking about the music and hosting these parties, and so I said, I think I'd like to do radio. So I went to school for it. I went to a broadcasting school in New York City, ATS, which was a famous broadcasting school. A lot of great people were teaching there, like Al Bandero from the old 92 KTU, Johnny Allen from the old 92 KTU, Joe Causey was also there, Ray Rossi was also there. So, and I joined that alumni with those great
so
people.
Cool.
So, Freddie Colon, also from the old 92 KTU. So I went to school with all these great people, and Johnny Allen was my teacher, and he was a great teacher, and I learned so much from him about radio. And from there, I wound up at a little radio station in New Jersey, an oldie station called WNNJ. I was there Sunday mornings doing oldies. Then from there, I went to WSUS up in Franklin, New Jersey. I was there for 5 years doing weekends. which was a lot of fun. I had a great time there. I started working with the television show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. I sent a resume. They called me in for an interview. Next thing I know, I was working for Robin, doing all his personal errands that he didn't want to do, and I got to interact with him when he was in town. That was a lot of fun. So I worked with him for quite a while, and then went over to WPLJ in New York, where I started in research. From research, I went to promotions. From promotions, I went to assistant producer of the morning show. From assistant producer to the morning show, I wound up on the morning show with Rocky Allen, and then we started a show called Celebrity Spotlight, which we continue to this day on Hamilton Radio.
Absolutely.
And Rocky came up with the actual title for that show, Celebrity Spotlight. That was Rocky's title that he gave it. And the very first time he wanted me to go out, he said, "Jimmy, you want to do an interview?" And I was like, I never interviewed anyone before. I said, he goes, "That's great. That's exactly what I want."
What year about was that?
That was around 1990, I would say.
Okay. Whoa.
Yeah. So next thing I know, Tom Jones is in town.
Get out.
Tom Jones is in town, so Rocky sends me over to this hotel on the Central Park West. Beautiful hotel up in the suite. I go up in the suite. It was like 7 o'clock at night. Walk into the room. Sandy Battaglia, who is Tom Jones' assistant, opens the door. I walk in, and I'm sitting in this beautiful suite on the couch, and I have my microphone and my tape recorder. Next thing I know, I turn around, and out comes through the doors Tom Jones in his beautiful black suit, and I was in awe. I was like, because I was a big fan. I think I almost fainted myself. I was like, it was such an honor to be with him and interview him. So that's how it started. It was Tom Jones, and then next
Imagine
thing.
that started with Tom Jones.
That's how I started, yeah. And then it was Tony Randall, and it was so many different people. ZZ Top was.
Oh, come on!
ZZ Top.
I saw ZZ Top in concert.
Yeah, and they sent me over to interview ZZ Top, and I'm sitting there with a guy from the Howard Stern show. His name was Stuttering John.
Yeah.
And Stuttering John was sitting next to me, and I had no idea who he was. I really didn't. And he was asking crazy questions, and I was asking crazy questions next to him.
Was he purposely stuttering?
I didn't hear him stutter at that particular event, but he asked him. He says I think John, Stuttering John goes to ZZ Top. He goes, "Did you guys ever throw up in your beards?"
I heard that one. I heard that one.
So then I'm like, "Hey, I'm Jimmy Diele from 95.5 PLJ." I said, "What's the worst thing you guys ever found in your beards?"
Wait, did he ever throw up in his beard? You didn't answer.
I don't know what they answered. They just looked at him and laughed.
Yeah,
I think they didn't answer it. They didn't answer it,
Yeah.
and I don't think they answered me as well. They just laughed. So the next day it was I guess it was 92.3 K Rock, where Howard Stern says, "Oh, there was some he was telling the story, and he said some guy from PLJ was stealing my questions. I wasn't stealing his questions. That was my question."
That's so great. I love it.
So I got talked about on the Howard Stern show. So I was on it.
That was amazing. Yes.
Wow.
So that was cool. But
Wait, Mae West once said, "I'd rather be looked over, baby, than overlooked." So you were just looked over.
Exactly. So then we did that. I worked for PLJ for years. We interviewed just about everybody. I mean, we had the captain of the Love Boat, of course, Gavin McLeod. There's so many people. God, George Klein was on the show, one of Elvis's best friends. We've had just about everybody. Wayne Newton, Engelbert Humperdinck. We had so many celebrities come by. It's just amazing. It amazes me when I go back and look. We had Donald Trump on the show. I interviewed Donald Trump a couple times.
So wait, you did?
Yes, I did.
I want to interview Donald Trump.
Let me tell you, he's the same way that he hasn't changed much. Let me tell you, because if you don't, he doesn't like a question that you ask him. He gets annoyed and he'll just like ignore you. So he didn't change much since the 1990s, But it was an honor to interview him. The very first time I met Donald Trump, I met him a couple times. The very first time they sent me to do a cover, it was a private concert with Neil Diamond. And I walk into this little private concert. It was at the Sony Studios in New York. And I walk in, and Regis Philbin's hanging out there, and Donald Trump is there. And he's having a hot dog over at a hot dog stand. They have a little hot dog stand set up. And he's with two children, and I guess it was Ivanka and Don. And he goes, I said, "I'm Jimmy Diele from 95.5 PLJ. He was just so gracious. He goes, "Do you want a hot dog?" And I'm like, "No, thank you so much." He goes, "Let me introduce you to Ivanka. This is my daughter. This is my son." So we hung out and talked for a little while. He was such a great guy. He really was. And
Do you want a hot dog? I love that.
Yeah, he asked me if I wanted a hot dog.
Well, I want to bring up, speaking of that, so Anthony Hudson, he's going to be coming back to studio here at the beginning of September.
Right.
And that Wednesday, September, what's the date? The 6th maybe? Whatever that Wednesday is, we're going to be doing a meet and greet at Robbinsville Friendlies, and guess what? Free Fribbles milkshakes, okay?
Nice.
So come on out.
So awesome. That's great.
Yeah, he's running for president in 2024, guys.
Wow. So then after PLJ, I was there for many years doing Celebrity Spotlight. Then I went to WYNY New Country Y107, where I was a disc jockey there on the weekends. The whole time the station was on. I was the last disc jockey on the air before it went off air.
Wait, doing country?
Doing country.
Okay.
Love country.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big country fan. I learned it as I went along, because I live in Brooklyn. And since I live in Brooklyn and, I was from Brooklyn and I like country music, they gave me the name Cousin Vinny. Because of, Cousin Vinny in the movie.
that, sure.
He wears the cowboy boots and he's, he likes country music.
I love it.
So I was Cousin Vinny for 5 years, which was pretty fun. I had a great time there, and I worked in Long Island at B103, and so it's just been all over the place here in the Jersey Shore at K98.5. I did country there as well under the name Cousin Vinny. And now I'm at Hamilton Radio with Doc G.
This is so cool.
Don't forget the Scott Baio interview. You had an exclusive interview with him.
Yes, Scott Baio. What happened was Scott Baio came into Brooklyn, and it was funny. One night I'm talking with my girlfriend, Cindy, and she's like, Scott Baio's on CNN. I'm like, really? She goes, he's coming into Brooklyn. I said, really? So I says, I did some research and stuff and got in touch with Scott Baio's people. And I said, I know he's coming into Brooklyn. I said, is it all right if I come down and interview him? And they told me to contact the right people in the school where he was appearing. So it all worked out, and I did. So I got an exclusive interview with Scott Baio. I went down to the school in Brooklyn. We were the only radio station, Doc.
Right, that's
Hamilton Radio was the only radio station to get an exclusive interview with Scott Baio other than Fox News.
That's right.
So there you have it, guys.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So Fox News. I have a funny Fox News story. All right. So I have a friend from town. His name is Rich Bryn, and he was doing something back in the day, Enough is Enough movement, and bringing the red and the blue together. Mm-hmm. And so he reaches out. He's like, we got to do something, Jer. Got to do an interview. I said, we're really going to do something. So my cousin's girlfriend at the time worked for Fox News.
Right.
So I don't tell anybody nothing. I make our T-shirts. Remember Hamilton Radio?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And I get him on the train. So he goes, where are we going? I said, you'll see. Go right to Fox News, right?
Right.
I call my cousin's girlfriend, and I'm like, hey, where are you at, She's like, oh, I'm a block away from work. Everything okay? I said, oh, yeah, I'm here waiting for you. She goes, what? So she comes up, right? We say our hellos, and she's like, Jer, I can't get you in. She goes, it's, I said, oh, but I really have to use the bathroom.
Right.
She's like, all right, come on. So as we go in, we get in the elevator. The guy in charge back there, okay, his daughter comes in the elevator. And I said, listen, this is my cousin's girlfriend. She's telling me she'll get in trouble, but here's my card. All right, come on. Brings us in. We go in the back. I'm at the seats. Listen, I'm at the desk. I get my photos. Got to talk to everybody.
Right.
Got interviewed. It was really cool. You
Oh,
have to be
wow.
listen. I don't mean any harm with any of the stuff that I do.
Right.
But you have to just do it. You have to be a little pushy at times.
Of course.
Right?
Yep.
Even PNC when we went, I got backstage.
Yeah,
baby.
Jerry's good. I'll tell
She's
you.
the one that
she's
got
good.
in.
You just smile and say, listen, yo.
Well, you have to see me in Las Vegas and in Memphis. There you go.
saying, right?
Absolutely. I was just with Linda Thompson and,
So it's
and
amazing.
Billy Stanley and
Right,
of course
right, yeah.
Patrick Wren and so many people were there. Elvis's cousin Donna and Elvis's cousin Danny and I was with all these people.
That's
Crazy.
amazing,
Yep.
Jim. Like,
It's amazing.
right? And listen, all kidding aside, I mean, because of Elvis with us, I mean, like when we take our last breath, I mean, we can smile. I mean, like
Exactly.
really think about it. What haven't we done that we've really I never got to meet Elvis because I was 16.
Yeah, me too. I was only 10.
Yeah,
so.
and he passed away. But other
Yeah.
than that, I mean, right?
Exactly. I mean, I've met everybody that he knew and you as well.
Yeah.
And, Priscilla, I mean, she's such a nice lady.
Yeah. She let me have the interview with her son.
Yeah, so
mean, it was
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, and I said Linda Thompson, she's pretty cool.
She's
I
very
met her
cool.
twice. This was the second time I met her. But so many great Elvis. And what happened was the very first time I went to Memphis, I was 19 years old. I wanted to be a disc jockey. I just went to broadcasting school. So I go to, I said George Klein. I'd seen him on all the videos. I knew he was a disc jockey in Memphis. So I go to the radio station up in Mount Moriah. It's WEZI radio. And I find the radio station. I rented a car. I was with one of my friends. I just go knock on the door at the radio station. He's on the air.
I love this,
He's
yes.
So I'm like, hey, I'm Jimmy Diele. I said, I said, I'm just starting out on radio. I think I just got a job with research in PLJ, and I was telling him, and he was the nicest man. He opened the door, let me in. He had somebody give me a tour of the radio station, let me hang out with him on the air, and we were friends for like 20 years. So every time I was in Memphis, he was a casino host down at the Horseshoe Casino in Tunica. And we often would have lunch there when I was in town. A lot of times I was on Elvis Radio with him and Jim Sykes. And he let me work on the Elvis Hour a little bit because, every interview that I had done, whether it be Tony Bennett, Tom Jones, Wayne Newton, or anyone I interviewed, I'd always ask them, and I still do to this day, right, Doc? Always ask them about Elvis.
Oh, my gosh, me too.
So George would just I'd get the clips of me talking about Elvis.
Oh, my gosh.
And George would air them down in Memphis and on Sirius Radio.
Yep.
Jim, listen, I can't do it.
Frank Sinatra too. We asked about
we
Frank
asked him about Frank
and
Sinatra
Elvis.
too. Yes,
I can't
absolutely.
do an interview half the time, okay? I'll bring up Elvis. I'll say, all right, now come on, answer carefully. What'd you think of Elvis?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Wait, when I went to Graceland, I got to tell you, this is funny. So I went there when it first opened. My daughter was little, and she reminded me of this. And she said, Mom, do you remember when we were looking upstairs, they had the railing?
Right.
And she said, Mom, you said to me, they don't let us go upstairs because Elvis is still alive and he's up there.
I
she
wish.
reminded me. So remind me, I have to tell you about a phone call I got recently.
Okay.
Okay. So now, years go by. I've been there several times. So the last time I went was probably like 6 years ago with a friend from Australia.
Right.
His name is Limpy because he limps. Okay, he's one of my degenerate poker buddies. I love him. Okay, but he's got MS, and his arm, he kind of walks like this, and his one leg is shorter than the other, and he limps. I'm telling you this for a reason.
Right.
So we go to Memphis because he's a huge Elvis fan, and we brought him to the States, and he stayed with me and my family for a month. So we go.
Okay.
We're on the Lisa Marie plane.
Oh, nice.
Okay. The very last room, people, is Elvis's bedroom on the plane.
Yes.
They have plastic covering the bed and a sign that says,
Do not sit.
Do not sit.
Right.
I give him my camera and I go, listen to me. I waited my entire friggin' life to lay on this man's bed. Take the photo. Me, we're going to get arrested. I said, imagine those headlines. Jersey girl gets arrested for laying on Elvis's bed. I'm in. I jump on the bed and the alarms go off.
Oh, of course.
He drops the camera and limps off the frickin' plane. So I got the photo of just the bed, but not with me in it. To this day, we laugh about this.
Wow.
But it was a joke. They did that on purpose because not only would every woman and every gay man, and I don't care, every straight man would have wanted to lay on Elvis's bed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that airplane. In fact, when I was down in Memphis, I met Ron Strauss, who was one of the pilots.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was so cool.
amazing,
yeah,
right?
I love airplanes as it is, and to know that he actually flew the Lisa Marie. How
God.
cool is that? Wow.
Okay. Touch me, baby. Touch
There you
me.
go. So I think he's going to be on Celebrity Spotlight eventually.
Oh,
Doc.
cool.
This is
His
so
name's
cool.
Ron Strauss.
Ron Strauss. He's one of Elvis's pilots that flew the actual Lisa Marie.
Cool.
This is so cool.
Yeah, he's got so many great stories. But yeah, I mean, I love this stuff just as much as you do, Jerry. So it's always an adventure.
It is. It is. So I'll tell you about how we got to meet George Klein.
Oh, tell me.
So I have Limpy with me. There had to be, and I'm not exaggerating, at least 100 people standing by the radio station,
Right.
Sirius Radio, and it's on Elvis property.
Right.
And it's a small little building, and you can see right in it. The windows are there. And I go, let's go, Limpy. We're going right in front of everybody. We're knocking on the door. No, mate. I said, get over here. You came all the way from freaking Australia. We're doing it. So I'm pulling him as he's limping.
Right.
And I go to everybody, sorry, like that. And they're just looking at me like, really, lady? And I knock on the door, and Jim opens the door, and he says, hi. And I said, listen, this guy came all the way from Australia, and he's got a limp. Man, I'm using that against, for his advantage. I said, can we come in? And he said, really? And he looks at him, and he goes, what are you doing at 3 o'clock? And I go, what do you want me to be doing? And he's like, I want you to come back here at 3. I have a surprise for you. He said, and come straight up front. I go, okay.
Nice.
Walked in. There's George. We got
Wow.
to stay in there,
So
hanging out
cool.
with them. It was so cool.
George is the best. I miss him so much. I really do. This was one of the first times I've been down to Memphis since he's been gone, and it was bittersweet, really.
Yeah.
So, but I miss him. Yeah. Great times, right?
Jimmy's also a big Star Trek guy too, right, Jimmy?
Yes,
you
yes.
followed a lot
yeah,
of,
I do. William Shatner, one of my idols
I
growing
just
up.
heard blah, blah, blah. Oh, Star Trek. Go ahead. Talk.
Yeah, I grew up watching it really when I was a little kid, and one of the first things my mom did, my dad had passed away, and I was about 8, 9 years old.
Oh.
And one of the first things my mom did, because I love Star Trek, watching it on television all the time, she took me to the Star Trek convention in New York City.
Cool.
One of the first things I did when I was a little kid.
Oh, wow.
And, Mr. Sulu was there, and who else? Scotty was there. And I got to meet a few of the great characters.
wow.
Dr. McCoy was there. I was very disappointed, though, because William Shatner wasn't there. But, of course, I would get to meet him later on in my career. But it was great to be part of that. And so it's always been very special to me.
That's really cool. Wow. I mean, I obviously wasn't a Star Trek fan, but I liked it. I mean, my brother would watch it all the time.
Yeah,
so
I watched it
I'd
too.
be in and out and be like, oh, Star Trek,
Right, of course. Yeah, it's always been fun, and as I said, it's just something from when I was little, and also Batman. Every day,
Oh,
every day,
come
come
on.
home from school, 4 o'clock,
Same
put
here.
on
Yep.
Channel
Batman,
11, I think it was, and there was
Superman, come
Batman,
on.
Adam West. So, funny story about that is, I'm working with the Rocky Allen show. I just started working with Rocky, and he was going to have Adam West on. So he's like, Jimmy, he goes, go across the street to the, I think it was the Park Hotel, right across from the studio. He goes, and you're going to meet Adam West in the lobby and bring him to say, I'm like, really? Oh my God. It was like meeting God. It was like, it's Batman. So it was things like that, It was, that was very special to me, especially, because it means, I think, a lot more when you meet the people that mean something to you
That's right.
when you were growing up.
That's right.
That's
right.
That's why I guess the Elvis people,
Oh my gosh,
the
right.
Star Trek people, the
Yeah.
Happy Days people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because
Oh,
this is what you
Right.
just had. You just had
Yeah,
Donnie Most on, right?
from Happy. I mean, yes. You know what it is? Okay, so you know how I always say this. I always do. Like, music saves lives. And
Right.
it did through COVID. I mean, oh my goodness. Jimmy, and then I'll get back to what we were saying about our childhood.
Right,
but
right.
I had someone who was in the hospital a couple times, and I never met her personally, but now we're very friendly on Facebook, who messaged me saying, I'm crying right now, Jerry, thank you for the live of the music because I'm in the hospital, and the nurse had the phone held up for her on something. And
Oh, wow.
So, so even, not just music, our childhood memories with all these incredible shows,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they helped us all get through whatever it was as a child we had to get through.
Right, exactly. And it means a lot. The very first time I met Henry Winkler, it was amazing. I mean, the Fonz. He was doing a play on Broadway, and I think he was doing it with John Ritter. And somehow, some way, I got backstage to meet Henry Winkler and John Ritter, and it was amazing. I mean, it was just something out of my dreams. And Henry was just such a cool guy. I would bring him all this Fonzie stuff, and he would sign it for me. It was
That
just,
is
I mean,
great.
it's just so awesome. I mean, and so I would go back like every Saturday, and like you run into him when he was going into the building,
Right.
bringing Fonzie stuff, and he'd sign all this stuff for me. I'm like, wow, crazy. So it's people like that that really mean a lot to me. William Shatner, of course, Adam West, Henry Winkler, Elvis, but people who
yes.
really that I grew up with and still idolize to this day. Yeah.
And even, I said to Donnie Most, I said, here's the thing. I mean, the Fonz, right? I mean, come on.
Right.
But I said to Donnie Most, and I meant it, but you were probably most everyone's favorite character.
Right.
He was the girl.
Funny,
all
the funny
girls
guy.
wanted
He was
to
a funny
Fonz.
guy.
He
I
was
mean,
the
he-
funny
yeah,
guy.
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
everyone,
Right. And an amazing singer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I've seen him twice, I think, in concert. I mean, he's really, really
That's
good.
how I got to meet him.
Right.
Rick Shepard from the Drifters.
Oh, okay.
So I finally got to hug that man, and he brought me up on stage, and it was last summer. Ruben was with me.
Right.
And Donnie Most was performing with him. It was
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great singer. I mean, he surprised me a lot.
Yes.
I mean, he's on the same realm as like Frank Sinatra. I mean, he's got some voice.
He's got a good voice.
Really, Bobby Darin and all those people. I know those were some of his idols growing up as well. And he sang a few times on Happy Days. Not many, but
Right,
quite,
but we didn't think. I mean,
Right,
we were
yeah,
young
exactly.
anyway,
I think Pazzi had that gig already, and so they didn't let him
Yeah.
sing as much. But at least he did sing here and there.
So
Amazing.
it was awesome.
Yeah.
But you're right, Jim. I mean, our childhood memories and all these, oh my gosh.
Yes, absolutely. And even growing up, it was the old radio. I used to listen to old radio. It was 77 WABC. Of course, you hear Cousin Brucey and
Yep.
and Ron
You
Lundy.
promised me the interview. We're hoping to get
Is
this.
it gonna get you?
Well,
Oh, I
you
can't wait till that
promised.
happens.
I can't either.
Of course, you mentioned an old friend, Don K. Reed. Oh my God, these guys were legends. I mean, there was CBS FM in New York. That was the mecca of radio. It was the king, the kingdom of radio.
Yes.
And the Gator, I got to hug him.
Oh, really? I never met Jerry. I
interviewed him,
yeah.
but
He
I
sent
got
me
to
his
meet
book.
him.
He signed it, but I never got to meet him because, of course, I'm in Brooklyn. He's in Philadelphia
No,
at the time. But
listen, I loved him. I mean, amazing.
Yeah. But so many great disc jockeys over the years, and Joe Causey, and Al Bandero, who's been on Celebrity Spotlight.
Yeah. And his wife as well. Yeah.
Yes. So we've had
really
and we
exciting,
had Shadow Stevens.
Shadow Stevens.
Yeah, of
He
course.
was awesome too.
When I worked for WPLJ, he did the American Top 40, and so I would, of course, he did that on Los Angeles and did the tapes for it and all that. But I would do the engineering on Sundays for it.
Right.
Actually run the board and play the actual tapes and stuff that they sent to the radio station. So that was a big honor to meet him back then and to have him on Celebrity Spotlight on Hamilton Radio.
This is so cool. I mean, listen, again, when we take our last breath, we could be smiling, right?
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot. I mean, it was an amazing career that I never thought that it would happen the way it did, and that I would meet all these amazing people, and it was just definitely a blessing from God, really.
Well, listen, I'm laughing. I'm going to say something a little sad, but I'm laughing because he calls it his career. Okay, my father didn't get to see that I'm actually talking for, my career.
Right, exactly.
He used to want to whack me. Shut up.
But it's been an amazing career. It really has. It's been fun, and it's a business I love so much. I love radio. I love television. I love
people.
I love people.
Yeah.
And I'm a people person. So I mean, I get along pretty much with everyone. And it's fun talking with people. And it's just a fun business.
My granddaughter is 8, and my granddaughter says, "Me, Mom, you know everybody, like wherever we go in any town."
Yeah.
And then she'll say things like, "You talk to everybody, me, Mom," and then, "You're the craziest person I know, me, Mom," and it's a compliment, she goes.
And even when I'm on the street and people say, "Oh, everybody talks to you." Yeah, I mean, and I'll talk to everybody. I mean, I'm like that, so I'm this, I'm a people person, so.
Yeah.
And that helps in radio for sure.
And he's also you wrote for Canarsie Times, right?
I write for the
Used to
Canarsie
write?
Courier. Canarsie Courier,
So
yeah.
wait, tell me about that. Come on.
Well, what happened was I started doing that I've been doing it for 30 years, more than 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, when we first started Celebrity Spotlight, we started interviewing all the celebrities, and then whenever celebrities were in town or something happened or one of the celebrities passed away or something like that, the Courier would ask me to do a little story about it. So, and I've been doing that to this day for like over 30 years. I just did, my last one was Tony Bennett. I did a feature story on Tony Bennett.
So you do the actual writing.
I do the actual writing.
Okay,
and
so this guy's also smart.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what it is, which it amazes me because I'll write the story and I'll see how much they'll change it, and a lot of times they don't change it too
That's
much.
so
So I'm like,
cool, man.
So I'm like, I'm proud of myself, that I did that. But then they use my pictures. Of course, usually I have pictures
it.
with the celebrities, so so they use that as well.
That is so amazing, man. What else don't we know about you?
It's a lot of stuff, but
Stuff that you can tell us, I mean.
yeah, absolutely. But thank you for inviting me on the show today. I really enjoyed it.
This is our show together, man.
Yeah.
I'm having a blast with you.
Oh, absolutely! I'm having a great time as well, and seeing
I
Doc
wanted
G
to
face
meet
to
you.
face,
Yeah.
not through the
Always
not
a
through the
pleasure.
screen.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
pleasure.
wanted to meet you so bad, and when we finally got to meet that day, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun concert. I really had fun at that concert. Peter Noon was fantastic.
Oh, yes.
And it was just a great show. Cousin Brucey hosted it, of course. Great time.
So I loved his joke, and he did the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
okay? I'm going to share this with you guys. So I love sarcasm, but I don't like sarcasm that really hurts somebody's feelings, okay? So he's a character. I hear he jokes around a lot at all his concerts.
Right.
And this was brilliant. He said, when I first started singing this song, he says that there were all these hot young babes in shorts. So he's looking around in the audience and he's coming down, and I thought he was going to insult the women who were older. He did not do that.
Right.
What he did do was he pulled a guy who was in shorts, an old guy in shorts, and said, now I got these old men in shorts.
Right.
And I thought that was brilliant, remember?
Exactly.
So he didn't hurt any females' feelings or none of that. It was priceless. It was the best.
Yes.
Okay? Went from hot young girls in shorts to old men in shorts. It was priceless. So, all right, so let's talk about, other than Elvis, because, of course, we would be answering Elvis, who's the best
Right.
singer and the greatest looking guy in the world. I mean, all right, whatever.
Right.
So tell us a couple other, and we'll, you know what, let's start with Dr. Couple of your favorite singers growing up.
Oh God, there's been so many. I mean, as a favorite singer, it's got to be the Beatles,
Okay.
Paul McCartney, John Lennon, or my favorites. Also, Jim Morrison, The Doors,
Okay.
phenomenal singer. But of course, you got to add Frank Sinatra to that.
Of course.
And all the ones that my mother used to listen to, which was Tony Bennett and Engelbert Humperdinck, Tom Jones,
Yeah.
Sergio Franchi. I mean, incredible. Jerry Vale. I mean, the incredible singers. But I guess for the time, I would say every decade was different.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a different favorite every decade.
Of course.
Okay.
Basically, that's what I would say. Because there's so many,
Yeah.
it's hard to name them all, but that's just a few.
Right.
What about you?
Well, we know Elvis, of course, and of course Bobby Darin, Sammy Davis Jr.,
Oh,
Sinatra.
geez, all them.
Dean Martin. I mean, then I like the freestyle artists as well. Like there's Lizette Melendez, there's Lime, there's I grew up with freestyle in high school in Brooklyn, so that was pretty big, and like Shannon and Let the Music Play, and a lot of those freestyle artists. So I like them as well. So they're pretty cool.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
All right. So you're about 7 years younger than me?
About.
Okay. I always say I was born too late because I love oldies.
Right. Me too.
But you're even younger.
Yes.
So how?
It's weird. As I said, I grew up listening a lot of times to WCBS FM, so that introduced me to a lot of those artists, the old time artists, and I enjoyed that music growing up. I guess because my parents listened to it,
Okay.
so that's where a lot of that came from. And then a friend of mine, one of my neighbors, was a big Elvis fan, and he used to listen to Elvis all the time. And then what happened was I was only 10 years old, of course, when he passed, and they started doing the concerts on TV. So, of course, you start seeing all the videos and the concerts and, you're hearing all the music. And I'm like, wow, this guy was really cool. So I became a bigger fan as I grew up. And that's how that happened. But it was really like the old, and my dad was a big Sinatra fan. In fact, he worked on Wall Street. And one time, I guess he was visiting a building where my dad was working. And my dad got to shake his hand in the limo,
Oh, so
which was
cool.
that. Yeah, so that was pretty cool, And I got to meet Sinatra later on, at PLJ and stuff. But so that's where I guess where it started, though. As far as the oldies and the classic artist.
So I'm going to share a couple things with you. I interview a lot of young up-and-coming artists as young as 9 years old that are incredible.
Right.
And they all say, I ask them all, what do you think about Elvis? And they all say, forget about it. If it wasn't for Elvis and these older singers, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So they know.
Mm-hmm.
They know. So it's beautiful. But listening to you talk about that, I mean, that's really cool. Growing up, I grew up in Long Island City, New York, and my dad moved us here to New Jersey when I was 12.
Right.
So 50 years ago. And 98.1 was the oldie station.
Okay.
OGL.
That was my favorite, WOGL. So
I lit.
a few years ago, maybe like 5-6 years ago, I said, let me see what oldies are today.
Mm-hmm.
1990s, I'm like, that is not oldies.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and in the 80s were great too. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
of course, Boy George and Culture
my
Club
gosh.
and so many great groups that came out of the 80s.
I loved music across
Yeah.
the board, too.
Me too. You
Yeah.
too.
But my heart belonged to doo-wop, oldies, and
Me too.
Elvis.
There you go. I mean, country and oldies have always been really my favorites.
Well, let me ask you about country, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because I grew up never liking country until I got older, and I liked the newer country. What about with you?
Okay, what happened with that was, coming out of PLJ and being an Elvis fan and all that. Of course, I like Johnny Cash, and I liked all that rockabilly stuff. Carl Perkins,
Yeah.
people who came out of Memphis, Roy Orbison.
Oh, God, Roy Orbison, baby.
So anyway, what happened was that I got an interview to work at a country station, WYNY, and they called me, and I had never done country. The new country is a lot different than the old country, of course, and so I had to learn it, So I would start listening to Reba McEntire and Kenny Chesney and Toby Keith, and what happened was when I started to do it, I started to like it, and I listened more and more to country, and that's how, and I started becoming a huge country fan. So now, like, I was just in Las Vegas. I went to see Miranda Lambert. I met her a few times. Great artist. Big Jason Aldean fan now. Who else? Toby Keith, of course, and Kenny Chesney. You know, some of my favorite artists. I mean, there's so many of them out there today now. It's great. Leanne Rimes. That was amazing because I grew up listening to Leanne Rimes, you know, from when she started. She was only 14 years old, and I got to meet her at Nassau Coliseum for the first time backstage, and that was really awesome. I loved her music, and so I'm a big Leanne Rimes fan. So
Cool. Listen, music has evolved, and
Yeah.
Even like I always say, like if you put an 8-month-old baby in a bouncy and you put music on, they bounce.
Yes, exactly.
It's innate,
exactly.
Yeah. We need it to survive.
So now I'm a huge country fan as well. So I love going to see country concerts. I enjoy that so much, just as much as I do oldies and stuff, which is really cool. But
Frank and Janet.
Yeah. So this is so cool, Jim.
it is. It's been a great time, really, and it's so much fun. This has been more fun than I thought it was going to be. It was really a lot of fun.
So wait, you didn't think this was going to be fun?
I thought it was going to be fun.
You hear what he had to say over there, right?
No, it was really a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it so much.
Again, this is our show together. We were collaborating. So, Doc G, what would you like to say in closing?
Just everybody, Jimmy Deal's a phenomenal person, inside and out. Great show host and just a wonderful person. I talk to him, mostly all the time. We plan the shows and set up the celebrities. But reach out to Jimmy if you want to be on his show anytime on Hamilton Radio.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can arrange it. Sometimes Jimmy couldn't even be here every now and then. But, he lives far away, so it's kind of hard for him to get here.
It's a little hard for me to get here. But I was so happy coming here today and finally getting to see this wonderful studio.
Oh, thank
Love
you.
it. Absolutely love it.
So, Doc G, I want to thank you for being part of this today. You know that. Come on.
Yeah.
So, everybody, Doc G, the original
Thank you,
owner
guys.
of Hamilton Radio. And it's because of Doc G that I started radio, and it's because of Doc G that I met this guy right here.
It's because of Doc G that we continue Celebrity Spotlight, which,
That's right.
I'm thankful
Right.
for that and good to be part of this wonderful radio station.
Well, I'm glad to have you people a part of it, and of course I got to give kudos to my wife for putting up with me. So
Of course.
thank you.
So
course.
you can go.
Yep,
You
yep,
have
yep.
to do the tech because
Yep.
Ruben had leave. But
Yep.
I'm going to give
Bye,
you the
everybody.
mic. So I want to say, first of all, thank you to everybody listening. Share this show, guys.
Absolutely.
Here's my celebrity right here, baby.
Jerry Petito.
All right, so Jimmy Deal, take the mic and just say whatever you like, a little inspiration to everyone listening.
I just want to thank everybody for listening to Celebrity Spotlight and Jerry Petito's show, and I really appreciate you coming to listen to us. Whenever we're on, every week. I have the same listeners every week, and I appreciate that so much. And anybody who wants to get into radio, pursue your dreams and just don't give up. Never give up.
All right, Doc G, I'm going to read a poem. I have to. I wasn't going to read a poem today, but what you just said, I have to.
Okay.
I read this poem often with my shows. I was going to read it the next one. I usually have a piece of paper in there. I'm going to have to read it. All right. Did you hear what he just said? Follow your dreams and don't give up. All right? His poem is called Utilizing Gifts and Talents. We are born with talents, we are born with drive, with different gifts to help us thrive. I knew early on I was born to draw and paint, to also write poetry, and to talk without restraint. Our gifts and talents should all be used, God's gift to us, not be abused. We can go far in life for sure, using our gifts to go on tour. All our talents should be used to create ourselves and more, but then our job's to share them to even up the score. You see, in life, what's needed is not just for ourselves. Once our gifts are mastered, take them off the shelves. A living we can make by spreading them around, not just for the money, but to spread a peaceful sound. Don't take for granted the gifts you're given. Go out and spread the joy. Our gifts are not to be held back for us to self-destroy. So put your efforts forth. Do not hesitate. All your talents, my friend, are never second rate. Never hold them back or you will surely die. Maybe not in body, but your soul will cry. Our gifts were made to share, our talents made to soar. Go through life enlightened and then you can roar. Be proud of who you are. Be happy you're alive. Once again, my friend, your gifts will help you thrive. By putting efforts forth, not keeping them at bay, Your name, Jimmy Diele, baby, will live forever, forever and a day.
Exactly.
So go through life excited, for what you sure can give to yourself and others is our reason to live. Our grave will be quite lonely, but our legacy lives on. So make sure people smile with the breaking dawn. That's what you do, Jim.
Exactly.
Every one of your shows, baby. Every one of your shows.
Yep.
Doc G, you want to play that Johnny Cash? That's okay.
Yeah, and it's like Elvis says, follow that dream.
That's right. Follow that dream, baby.
That's right.
That's right. Follow that dream. Honey, I would have followed any dream with him, okay? I'm just saying, baby. I'm just
There you
saying.
go.
We're going to play a little snippet here. This is so cool. Here we go.
Doc G's queuing it up for us.
Yes.
Jimmy Deal. Keep those tunes rocking, Jimmy.
All right,
A
guys.
little louder, baby. A little louder.
I think Doc's got to re-cue that.
He's got to re-cue it, but we gotta get you guys to hear it.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash, and you're listening to my buddy, Jimmy Deal. Keep those tunes rocking, Jimmy.
Keep those tunes rocking, Jimmy.
Absolutely. Johnny Cash was an honor and a pleasure to meet him. I met him 5 times, and always a gracious, great guy.
Amazing. So I want to thank everybody for listening. Of course, I want to thank you. I love you, man. This
Thank you,
was
Geri.
so cool.
I appreciate it so much. It was so great to be on with you.
So cool. Thank you, everybody. Okay, Doc G.